I don't know about you, but I kind of think Jacksonville just made a big mistake. What's going on, football fans? Duval! It's Mitch here, back with another NFL reaction. This time to the massive, I'm talking ginormous extension for quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Now the solidified, not only first overall pick and generational prospect, but they have turned that first overall pick into the face of their franchise long-term with a 5-year, $275 million extension. And I think I'm not going to have a popular opinion for Jags fans out there, for Duval. I don't think you guys are going to like what I have to say in this video, but I'm going to be as honest as I can be in this video. So before I get started, Gronk, spike the like button, man. Don't forget to subscribe for more NFL content all summer long. And get in the comments and let me know your honest take about this contract, this extension for Trevor Lawrence. Let's break down the extension. So, we got Ian here, the rap sheet on the X, announcing that the Jags have reached a deal with their star quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. Sources say they are giving the former number 1 pick a 5-year extension worth $275 million. That is $55 million a year, ladies and gentlemen. $200 million guaranteed and $142 million fully. Lawrence's agent, Jay Curry, did the deal. Congratulations to him, especially. Trevor Lawrence, congratulations. Happy for him. Nothing against Trevor Lawrence from a personal standpoint. Glad that he got big-time money, and the man has been paid and will be paid in the future. That's great for him as an individual, great for his family. But in terms of my actual thoughts on this, Trevor Lawrence is now making the most money in the NFL, tied with Joe Burrow. So if we just compare Trevor Lawrence's career on the surface to Joe Burrow's career, okay, both first overall picks, Burrow was taken the year before. We can go a little bit deeper into this, but when we check Trevor Lawrence's performance, he has never, according to Pro Football Focus, been graded as a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Think about that for a second. They just paid Trevor Lawrence generational money, the most money at the position in the NFL. $55 million $55 million a year, not guaranteed, but a year. 11th in 2022 was his best season. He's played 3 seasons. He was one of the worst quarterbacks as a rookie in the NFL, but that has been cast aside due to his coaching and Urban Meyer and things of that nature. And that's fine. You know, Peyton Manning had a terrible rookie year, so it's totally understandable. 2023, 15th in the NFL, dealing with some injuries. Okay, so Trevor Lawrence has been a fringe above average quarterback throughout his 3 seasons in the NFL. I think that's a fair assessment. Results would say that Trevor Lawrence has been a little bit underwhelming throughout his career so far, right? Like, he has a 20-30 record, and I understand that he was taking over for the worst team in the NFL, so 14 of those losses came in his first season, but then after that, he's been an average winner, right? He's 1 game above 500 in the past 2 seasons with a Super Bowl champion level coach in Doug Peterson and a pretty talented overall team. They've supported him with draft picks on the offensive line, draft picks with Travis Etienne at running back, draft picks with now Brian Thomas, that's moving forward, but money at tight end and Evan Ingram, money at receiver with Christian Kirk, money in Zay Jones, right? Money in Calvin Ridley. Defensively, they've obviously added a first overall pick on top of what they already had in Trayvon Walker. So this is a team that, and a quarterback that I pretty much feel like this is a desperation move, and it's almost one of those moves where we're trying to hope that he lives up to the contract. And I understand that perspective because Lawrence is talented. Physically, he is a talented player. Like, he's got a big arm, he can move, he most of the time can make some pretty dangerous downfield strikes, right? And when he's in rhythm, he's a pretty dangerous player. We've seen really good moments from him, like the comeback in the playoffs against the Chargers. I recall a few games where he went toe-to-toe with some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL at times. I felt like in that 2022 end of the season, he was playing great football, and he was a top 10 quarterback, and you expected him to ascend this past season, but that did not happen. Right? So, and a lot of that does happen to be the offensive line, the injuries and things. But again, going back to the Joe Burrow conversation, like Joe Burrow is being paid $55 million a year like Trevor Lawrence, and basically they gave Trevor Lawrence the same contract. If I'm just going to pull up Joe Burrow without even knowing his statistics and his winning percentage and all that stuff, again, first overall pick on an equally pretty bad franchise over the years, and I would say arguably worse coaching, worse infrastructure to start with, right? Joe Burrow has been the much better, more calculated player and has achieved far more in one more season. But you basically disqualify 2 of the seasons because he was injured in both of them, right? 5-5 in one of the injured seasons, 7-1 in his rookie season where he was injured. But even if you look at his rookie season, 65% completion, 2,600 yards, 13 touchdowns to 5 picks. Those are far better numbers than what Trevor Lawrence was achieving in his rookie season when he was not on a good team and he was not in a good situation, right? So, like, equal kind of situations, maybe disastrous coaching on the part of Trevor Lawrence, but, you know, like, not too far off, right? And then you look at 10-6, 12-4, Super Bowl appearance, AFC Championship appearance for Joe Burrow in basically the 2 seasons he actually got to play. Then you look at his playoff resume, he's 5-2 in the playoffs, 9 touchdowns to 4 picks, 67% completion. I believe he has multiple game-winning drives, 2 in his career. So, like, yeah, Burrow's a little bit older at 27 years old. But I mean, to me, this is a crazy guess. It's a crazy roll of the dice. It's an ownership that I'm not a huge fan of. It's a general manager that I'm not a huge fan of, that I don't think has steered the franchise in the right direction. And I honestly feel like Trevor Lawrence has been extremely overrated by a crowd, especially a social media crowd, that pretends that big throws down the field and glimpses of arm strength and powerful throws down the field are signals of greatness. But what, to me, Trevor Lawrence is lacking is the main components of successful quarterback play. I was watching the Tom Brady induction yesterday, obviously, for the New England Patriots Hall of Fame. Of course, I would be watching that. And I found one huge thing, very important thing that kind of slid under the radar was his stance on quarterback play. And he said that no quarterback in the NFL right now plays like Peyton Manning, and no quarterback in the NFL plays between the ears at that level. And he was talking in general that the most important thing that a quarterback can possess is in between the ears. And personally, I believe that Joe Burrow has that. I believe that Patrick Mahomes, that is part of, I think, the underlying part of his greatness that I think is underestimated with Mahomes, because we talk about his arm strength, we talk about the scrambles he makes, we talk about the arm angles, we talk about all that stuff, which a lot of people on, you know, whatever you call it, X, Twitter, that's what they talk about, right? They'll look at this pretty throw, look at this incompletion he threw against Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. But how was he winning those games in the playoffs? It was through game management. It was through knowing when to throw the ball away, knowing when to scramble, knowing when to hit the check down. And that's maybe an element where a guy like Josh Allen hasn't quite gotten there yet, despite being maybe more physically talented than any quarterback we've ever seen. And Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but the difference between Mahomes and Allen is perhaps that trait in between the ears and the composure. And Trevor Lawrence does not possess, in my opinion, that high IQ of a football player. He really, I think, lacks entire vision of going through plays 1, 2, 3, being able to mechanically manipulate the pocket and be able to strike in that rhythm, understanding pre-snap of where to go with the ball quickly and decisively. I think far less talented than Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, is more of a franchise quarterback in terms of composure, toughness, grit, and then also intelligence. I think the most underrated trait about quarterback play always has been IQ, has been high-level understanding of defenses, has been high-level of being able to get 11 people on the same page at the same time, playing in rhythm, knowing where to go with the ball, knowing what a defense is doing, know what to audible to, know what to check to, know how quickly he needs to get rid of the ball because there's a blitz coming from the right edge. Things like that I think Purdy is being underestimated for right now, and the understanding and the grasp of the entire Kyle Shanahan offense, which is a really difficult offense to run. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence is somebody that's throwing the ball short a lot of bubble screens, is kind of being protected. There's often moments in games where I'm like, Trevor Lawrence made maybe one impressive throw in an entire stretch of this entire game. And that was because he was being protected by the play calling and things like that. And the offensive line perhaps had something to do with that. But I just look at Lawrence and I kind of feel like he's a little bit too one read. I think he's a little bit too erratic with things like accuracy. And he certainly, I think, is very underwhelming in terms of leadership and in terms of mental capacity of the quarterback position. That is just what I see in the player right now. He is talented. He is physically gifted. He is a first overall pick for a reason. But he is somebody that does not possess that aura, that leadership, that IQ level of what I just discussed with Joe Burrow. Even a guy like Brock Purdy, who is not as talented as Trevor Lawrence, or the all-time greats of Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. And this is why I would not have paid Trevor Lawrence this money. Because I think he's a good player, and he's one of those players to me that is going to kill your coach. He's going to kill your franchise because you don't quite understand what he is missing. But it's not the tangibles that he is missing. It is the intangibles that he is missing. That is what I think he is missing. It's the things you cannot see. It's the brain. It's perhaps the heart, although I don't know him personally. And it is perhaps the leadership, the things that he's able to do to elevate the franchise. Again, Trevor Lawrence, good player, but I would not pay a good quarterback this type of money. In my opinion, a good quarterback is Kyler Murray. A good quarterback is Kirk Cousins. A good quarterback is maybe Dak Prescott, and even he has been more proven than Trevor Lawrence. A good quarterback is Baker Mayfield. Like guys that you wouldn't think of as carrying franchises. Great quarterbacks are Patrick Mahomes. Great quarterbacks are Josh Allen. Great quarterbacks are Joe Burrow. Great quarterbacks are Lamar Jackson. These are the guys that are, and even somebody as talented and gifted and as perhaps special as Justin Herbert has not quite proven that he belongs in that tier. And I think Herbert is a better prospect and a better player and a better overall. I think he's more consistently accurate, probably a better arm. I think he's a smarter player. I think that Justin Herbert is better than Trevor Lawrence. And yet he probably wouldn't even say that he is, at that level of being worth this type of money and contract. So I think Jacksonville is blowing it here because this is going to impact their entire team. Not only do you have a leader that I don't quite believe in, a quarterback at the helm that I don't see that aura with, I also feel like he's going to hurt you from a salary cap standpoint because you can't put an ideal team around him if he's being paid elite money and he's not an elite player and he doesn't elevate everybody around him. That is the number one trait of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. of Joe Montana. They elevated their team. Patrick Mahomes elevates his team. Joe Burrow elevates his team. Trevor Lawrence does not elevate his offensive line, his receivers, his defense, the players on his team. He does not elevate them. So far, that has not been the case. Okay, so, and you overall just look at his statistics, and I'm going to throw that back up on the screen. You look at these statistics here, and these statistics, 58 touchdowns to 39 interceptions, 20 and 30 record, a 63.8 completion percentage, an 85 passer rating, right? 6 game-winning drives. I'm going to go back to just the camera on me. I'm going to pull up a different quarterback who is not considered to be any good, and I'm going to compare their statistics. This is Mac Jones. Now, remember Trevor Lawrence, right? 18 and 24 record for Mac Jones, which I would say is better. It's definitely a better win percentage. 66% completion percentage is superior to Trevor Lawrence. We didn't talk about yards. Touchdowns 46 to 36. I would say that's arguably just as good, if not a little bit better. A 85.8 rating, which is almost identical, and 2 game-winning drives. So a little bit less there. But also, Mac Jones has also seen a playoff game, but did lose. So we're talking about the backup quarterback that was drafted in the same draft class as Trevor Lawrence, who I believe is maybe a year older than Trevor Lawrence. So Lawrence is $55 million a year, and Mac Jones is $5 million on his next contract. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there, but yeah, guys, this is kind of what I think. I wanted to make this video because I don't believe that quarterbacks should simply be paid for potential. I don't believe that quarterbacks should be paid because they had one good season. I don't think they should be paid because you made them the first overall pick. I think quarterbacks should be paid for what they bring to an organization because they elevate players around them. And I understand that quarterbacks of even Trevor Lawrence's caliber are hard to find, but if he's not the guy, he is not the guy. And Trevor has yet to prove that he is the guy. I would have waited a little bit longer, perhaps till after this season, to find out that answer. Because I still am undecided on whether Trevor Lawrence is the guy, and he's been paid prematurely, in my opinion. Dak Prescott. A lot of people would say he has been overpaid for many seasons. Kirk Cousins, he has been overpaid for many seasons. They are good quarterbacks. And even they, I would say, are stronger leaders. They have more of an aura than Trevor Lawrence. And yet they have been disappointing in the eyes of fans. So unless Trevor Lawrence goes on to extremely elevate his production, his game, he is not going to be worth this money. So that's where I stand. Gronk, spike the like button. Let me know where you stand. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Peace.